Put on your mental track shoes and run with me. This is the Powwow with Myra.
Welcome, everyone. Today's episode, we have Weston Davis, but what's your official name?
Weston Shaw Davis III.
Yes, him.
Yep.
So, Weston, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I am a father. I am a husband. I'm a realtor. I'm a veteran. Let's see. I was born in Mississippi, Starkville, Mississippi. I moved around a bunch as a kid. I've lived in almost every southern state with the exception of Louisiana and Florida. I was at a different school from second grade to ninth grade every year.
Wow.
Yeah. I think we added it up. I moved like 15 times or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, my old man was the original house flipper before house flipping was even a thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm a realtor by trade. Been in sales for 25 plus years, probably 27 or so. U.S. Navy vet. I just the roles of my life. I guess the biggest one I really enjoy is being a dad. Yep, being a husband probably second.
Okay. So, what do you love most about being a dad?
Oh my goodness, you're gonna make me cry probably. It's okay to cry on here, right?
It's absolutely fine. I'll cry with you.
Okay, good. It was something that I didn't have the greatest relationship with my old man, and so when I had an opportunity to have kids of my own, I thought, oh, I'm going to change it. It's going to be way different. It's going to be, I'm going to be there for everything. It's going to be awesome. Well, I started at 21, and let's just say it did not go swimmingly. And then I was divorced very quickly after that. Had two children from that marriage, and then didn't get active again until I met my current wife. We met while we were in the Navy and decided we weren't going to have children for the first probably couple of years. Turned out to be the first 7 years. Then she called me one day and said, "Oh, I'm pregnant," and I was like, "Oh, great." At first she was all upset because she wasn't sure if I was going to be excited, but then I was, and this go around is just infinitely better because my partner is better.
Yeah.
And then we've been married this whole time, so I've been able to be at home. That's part of the reason why I switched careers to be a realtor, is so that I could be more present for activities and baseball and taekwondo and all the things that my kids do. I have a total of 4 children. My oldest is non-binary, so that was something new to me. I had a female child for 24 years, and then it was all of a sudden it was they, them. And so that was different, and not really different in terms of acceptance. I accepted it. It just was different in terms of nomenclature and pronouns. The love is no different. And then I have 3 sons. So
Okay.
yeah, and I have 2 that live at home. One's 17, Grant, and then Brooks is 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So, wow, there's
There's
quite a
lots to
lot
unpack.
to uncover there.
Right.
So, okay, before I jump over to your kids, I kind of want to dive into the relationship because I feel like, as a matter of fact, I was just having a conversation with my brother the other day. I guess, he's kind of going through different swings with his girlfriend. And so, I was starting to have a conversation about like, okay, well, because I've been divorced myself too. I got married at 19 and then divorced at 21, but I didn't have any children
Yeah.
on that during that relationship. But I don't know what you think about this, but like what I was saying, it was like, okay, well, a lot of times we just don't know how to like I feel like values and principles have a lot to do maybe with the spouse you choose, right?
Yeah.
Because say for example, if that person you're dating or maybe you're already married, right?
Right.
And then you start discovering that your values maybe don't match, the principles maybe don't match, and maybe that could be a reason why like you really like each other, but at the same time there's conflict, right? So what would you say, kind of going into that relationship that didn't work out? Why do you think it didn't work out? What do you think?
Well, I can reflect on it now.
Yes.
Then it was, the world was ending and, we were imploding. And how could this ever happen? I was only going to get married one time. I was never going to be divorced. My mom got divorced and I'm never going to do that. It doesn't work like that. I was a very cocky young man. And this was new in my Navy career. So I was in shape and I had just come out and I'd just gotten to California and this redhead walked in the hall and I was like, who in the heck is that? And everybody's like, oh, don't talk to her. She's stuck up, whatever. And I was like, oh, we will have a chat. And by chat, she will be dating me. And so that in turn actually happened. I mean, I got there probably in October, and by November, we were going out. By Christmas, she had invited me back to Indiana to help her drive her car to California. And in that trip, things take place, and conception happens, especially when one's not prepared as one should be.
Mm.
And so shortly after that, I get a knock on my dorm room door, and it's, hey, I'm pregnant.
Mm.
And being the good Southern young man that I was then, I gave my folks a call, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna do the right thing, right?" I was like, you bet I am, man. Marrying her is exactly what I need to do. So let's make that happen.
Mm.
In retrospect, that is not what I should have done. I mean, you can still raise children, you can still co-parent, you can still be an adult. I mean, I didn't have a clue who I was as a person, let alone how I was going to be a spouse, how I was going to be a dad. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I did the best I could. And then I got deployed almost immediately. And then Kaylee was born and we're trying to buy a house and I'm only 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the Navy and I'm trying to operate a career and a marriage and I'm being a father and I'm trying to buy a house and all these things were happening. And it just, when you do that and you don't really develop a type of relationship between each other first, there can be jealousy, there can be contentment, especially when I had to leave and then now she's stuck with a baby and she's trying to navigate her career and things that she wanted to accomplish and do now are not necessarily ruined, but
right.
You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
thrown a curveball. And
For
I
sure.
can distinctly remember having conversations. This is, I don't know if we're going to touch politics and religion and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a free thinker and a woman's body is her choice and those kinds of things. And we
Yeah.
had that chat. And, I said, look, I'll support whatever. I said, here's kind of what I want to do and have happen, but it's ultimately your decision. I said, I'll give you every support and whatever. And so we went forward with that. And I think what ended up happening is she started to realize that what she wanted to accomplish in her career wasn't necessarily going to happen in the time frame that she wanted to. And that fiery redhead that everyone talks about 100% showed its face. And then she just got really mad and angry. And so it just started to crumble from there. But I think we never really had a foundation to build on.
Ooh,
And so,
okay.
I mean, when you procreate before you even really know one another, it's probably not the best way to go into a relationship.
Mhm.
When she's, I don't know, 8 months pregnant, when you're walking down the aisle getting married, it's just I don't know. It was in hindsight, I should never have done that. In the
Yeah.
moment, I thought, oh man, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to be married to this woman. I'm going to be a dad. It's going to be great. It's never going to be bad.
Yeah,
That
in the
was
moment you felt you loved her.
Yeah, in
Like
the
she
moment,
was
sure.
right in the
Sure.
moment, right?
Right.
So, and the reason I say this is because how many situations happen this way, right? Where it's like, hey,
Tons.
well, it happened, oopsie. The right thing to do is to get together and be there for the child. So, um, you know, years later, looking back, what would you have done differently?
I wouldn't have gotten married, just because I don't think that was the right thing to do. I mean, neither one of us. I mean, we're both kids.
Right.
I mean, as you know, as I learned today, and with mental health and mental development, men don't even fully develop their brains until they're like 26. And I was also dealing with a lot of my own trauma and stuff, and didn't really understand how I could be a man going into the world and dealing with being father, being a husband. I didn't realize that I should have taken a minute, or taken time and just kind of looked back and said, hey, what is this? What are the implications of this? If we really do get married, I mean, that can complicate things, right?
Right.
And even though, and no one ever tells you this either, and logically you should know it, but when you have a child with someone, regardless if you're married or not, you are now linked to that person for the lifetime of the child. So forever. So graduations, marriages, kids, grandparent, all those kinds of things that no one says when you're 19, 20 years old going, hey, yeah, having sex is a lot of fun. It's an awesome time. But there are consequences if you don't protect yourself, if you don't think about things ahead of time, if you're rushing it in the moment. It can be, I don't have any regrets in it
Right.
at all.
Right.
But I would have done things differently.
Right. No, makes a whole lot of sense. So that's really interesting, and that's a great insight, especially for young adults, right?
Yep.
I kind of want to touch base on like what led you to be a realtor, and I understand. Sorry, you did
Yeah.
mention a little bit you wanted more time, but what did you do before becoming a realtor?
So I started my life. I went to an all boys high school. I graduated high school, had a scholarship for biomedical engineering. Wanted to pursue that, maybe be in medicine or something. Got to college, realized that young ladies go to college as well. And so I got focused on that and not on school.
Oh,
And so, yeah, I was no longer given my scholarship opportunity after my first semester.
mm,
Then I was no longer invited back to college after my second semester.
mm.
So I was working on a farm and going, what in the heck am I going to do with my life? And wanted to get out of the situation I was in. So I was working a couple jobs, and some Navy guys walked in, and I was like, that is the worst outfit I've ever seen in my life. Who wears that stuff? And so I went and did a couple of things with the recruiters and stuff and said, hey, this is what I want to do. And every one of them, except for the Navy, was like, we'd love for you to be a bullet stopper. And I was like, not really interested in doing that. What else can I do? So the Navy gave me an opportunity to go and learn the language and be a linguist. And I thought, okay, this is going to be great. And then so I tried to become an officer in CRNA, certified nurse anesthetist, and just didn't ever get it off the ground. And so again, had some challenges with that. So when I got out of the Navy, I did one tour of 6 years. When I got out of the Navy, I started in the insurance and financial services business in Houston. And so I was selling life insurance, I was selling IRAs and 401ks and stuff like that. And that was really great until I was a handshake guy. This was pre-internet really. And I had a partner, and we had a handshake agreement. And I walked out of the office on Friday, walked back in on Monday. Half my book of business and half my clients are gone. And I was stuck with a $5,000 a month lease. The owner of the building, came down and goes, hey, I'm sitting on the floor crying. I'm like, what in the hell am I going to do? How am I going to cover this on my own? And he's like, look, I own the building. I don't need your money. We'll tear off the lease. It's no big deal. Pack your stuff up and go. And so I had moved my stuff home. My wife and I bought a house, and so I moved my stuff in the house. And I started thinking, I said, you know what? This isn't really what I want to do. So I pursued a career in sales in corporate America. And so I started selling HR services and payroll and stuff like that, and did well, made President's Clubs and stuff like that, and then just kind of continued to migrate through sales. And as technology advanced, I started getting into medical sales and medical technology sales. And as I kept getting older, all my managers kept getting younger, and your numbers would change and your compensation would change. But I always was enamored with real estate. And kind of by happen chance, my stepdad, which I call my dad is a realtor in Columbia, South Carolina. And this is the same guy that was flipping and stuff. And so he's always been interested in real estate. And I too, I guess, just kind of by, I don't know, osmosis, I guess, but just by living, right?
Right.
And so when I looked at what I wanted to do with my life to be closer to my kids and be more involved in their life, I looked at real estate. And I just happened to be working out with a guy and his wife owned a brokerage here in Arlington. And I asked her, I said, "Hey, are you looking to hire agents?" And she looked at me and she goes, "We've never done that. We've always been family. But let me talk it over and I'll see." And sure enough, she came back and said, "Sure." I didn't want to go to a big brand because I'd been in corporate America. And like I said, I kind of wanted to do things on my own and go about it my own way. And so she gave me an opportunity and did my first deal my first week. And it just kind of took off from there. And it's been a lot of fun. I've since kind of joined some programs. I'm a realtor for Homes for Heroes as well. So when I do business with teachers, firefighters, police officers, healthcare workers, active duty or veterans, I give a portion of my commission back to them, just as a thank you. And I really enjoy putting new homeowners into their first home. The joy on their face is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done the boomerang where the husband picks her up and comes across the threshold, and done the video where the boomerang, and so it's going back and forth, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
We've had parties. I've been invited to cookouts. I mean, it's just when you do that and you treat them with respect and helpful and be there as an advocate, the relationship of homeowner, if they're selling, or home buyer, if they were going to buy, right, really becomes kind of a friendship. And some of them are younger than I am. And so it's almost like a dad relationship. I sold a couple, they were 26 years old. I mean, they could be my kids. And so I was putting them in their first home and they were just like, "Wow, you're so awesome. You're so cool." I'm like, "Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it."
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am, as a matter of fact.
No, that is.
That was a long answer, but that's how I got here.
No, that was a wonderful answer. I really love it. Because it shows really the transition of where you were to how you got here. And it sounds like you found a good spot to be in.
I have. And what's really cool is I made a switch from my original brokerage. She was fantastic. She's a great person, leader. We just it just needed to grow to a different spot. And I really like the brokerage I'm at now. I think it's a good home for me. My business has increased. My mental health has gotten better. I think it's just because I go to the office more. I found other people to interact with. I met you there.
Yes.
So I mean, it's been a really great experience, and I just made that transition in June of last year, and my wife has even made comments on several occasions that she's so much happier because I'm happier being where I'm at here than where I was.
Wow.
Not that I was unhappy,
right?
But she can just see a noticeable difference that things are looking better.
Yes, no, I agree, and that I admire what you do for others, especially you cut a portion of your own hard work and give it back to other heroes or brothers that have served in many different areas. So either military, healthcare, police, and any of that, right?
Yeah.
So I admire and I want to acknowledge you for that. That's
Thank you.
very, very honorable.
Thank you.
And so how has so it's funny, right? Like before COVID, it was probably like realtors, or it was very niche of who would kind of work from home, right?
Mhm.
Nowadays, a lot of people are working from home. And funny enough, right? I started going to the office just the beginning of this year, to get away from home.
Well, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I got very comfortable in COVID.
Mm.
I mean, it was weird, but I guess because I had traveled so much in outside sales and stuff, I was gone in a hotel 3, 4 nights a week. And so when I came back and started becoming a realtor, my schedule changed and I was at home at night and stuff. And I kind of started getting into cooking, and I really enjoy that. And I kind of take that responsibility in our family right now. And so during COVID, I was the lunch lady, I was breakfast guy. We learned very quickly I'm not a teacher, though. Um, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Was it? I'm sorry. I thought it wasn't. Oh, my bad. Here you go. Yeah. Oh, my bad. Yep. Can we, I guess we'll edit all that out. Okay. Sorry.
Well, we'll just cut this out, but that's fine.
My bad.
No, you're good. As a matter of fact, we won't even edit this. This is all live.
And well, that's part of life, I guess.
That is part of life. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
so
thought you-
it's yeah, so during COVID it was
you were
I
all
was
the roles.
all the roles except for teacher. My wife is a professor, and so my oldest son was he was a freshman in high school, and then our youngest son was in 4th grade.
Mm.
And I mean, poor Brooks, online learning was not the way to go for him. He had some challenges and some struggles, but being there every day and hanging out, I mean, selfishly, I got an extra year with my teenager, right?
Right.
Because, when you go to high school, you meet new friends and do all this stuff. Well, in real estate, I was also kind of isolated as well. I still sold real estate, but I would go and film the house
Mm.
and then upload it on YouTube and then share it with my customer.
Right.
And it was bizarre. I mean, I sold, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 houses to customers that I never physically met.
Yeah.
I mean, we met online or whatever, or had a Zoom call, and what's so really funny is 10 years ago, I sold for Citrix, which is a software company, selling GoToMeeting, which is today Zoom.
Oh.
But I would drive from Arlington to downtown Dallas, 35 miles, to sit in a cubicle to make inside sales calls to business professionals to say, hey, there's this new software. You can work anywhere. And I'm like, I was telling my bosses then, I'm like, this is the dumbest thing in the world. Why am I not sitting on my patio by my pool with my camera on going, hey, wouldn't you like to work like this? You could work from anywhere. But instead, I'm driving into an office to sit in a cubicle to get told, hey, at 11 a.m. and at 5 p.m., how many phone calls I've been on, how long I've been on the phone, to tell other people, hey, if you buy this software, you can work anywhere. But I'm sitting in a stupid cube. Are you out of your mind?
Right.
And then so when COVID happened, and all these people were getting so excited about Zoom, and you can talk, I'm like, ding dong, you could have done this 10 years ago. I mean, why is everyone just now catching on, right?
Right.
And I mean, we were doing trivia stuff with my family. It was bizarre. And in real estate, it was weird. But, you adapt, you overcome. But then as a result of that, what ended up happening, I think, is I started getting comfortable at home.
Mm.
And I stopped going into the office. And I was relying on, internet and cold leads to try and grow my business. The exact opposite way that I kind of grown up in business with networking and putting myself out there and doing all this stuff.
Mm.
I got extremely comfortable not going anywhere.
Mm.
And that's detrimental to everything.
Mm.
It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your physical health. It's not good for your relationship health. It's not good for your financial health, especially if you're a realtor, right?
Right.
You got to get out. You got to meet people. You got to interact. It's a relationship business. They're not knocking on my door going, hey, Wes, I want to buy houses.
Right.
Will you come take me for how, it didn't work like that. So it took me a kind of a jump start to, my wife was very, very nice. and said, hey, I think you need to get out of the house.
Ooh.
And I think you need to talk to some people to get your mental game back on point. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I don't think you're happy. And it was a wake up call for me.
Right.
Because I'd gotten comfortable and it just didn't make sense. So since then, I mean, I'm hardly at home now. I mean, I'm home in the evenings and stuff to take care of my family, but I'm out of the house. I'm going to the office. I'm working in a coffee shop. I'm working in the office. I'm working somewhere other than at home.
Right.
So that I can meet more people, that I can grow my business and do the things that really I enjoy.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Speaking of enjoyment, no, I do agree with you 100%. Like, I had to get out of the house because, into the office because here I would have very short moments of focus time, right? So because then the dogs needed to go outside. Oh, the fridge is just 10 feet away. Might as well get laundry done.
Might as well.
Weekend's coming up, and oh, the floors are dirty. Let me just go ahead and clean real quick. It was just one thing after another. And so I just found that my focus time was not where I wanted it to be. I still get my stuff done,
Right.
but I wasn't outputting as much as I wanted to.
That's kind of the same thing.
And
I
then
noticed that I was doing more projects, and which house projects need to be done, right?
right.
But you also have to make money.
Yeah.
And
To pay for those projects.
so, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, at the beginning of the year, I started going to the office. I'm like, I'm just going to come because I had a few clients. I had a few things I needed to get done. And I'm like, okay, I got to go to the office because I need to get this stuff done. I had a lot of stuff to do. And as I started going in the office, I met Michael. It was very kind of dead at the beginning. It was kind of just him and maybe just a few people coming in on Mondays. But just the quietness and being there, not being at home, I found myself just like diving into just like big chunks of focus.
Yep.
Like before I knew it, it was 5 p.m. I'm like, oh, where did time go?
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, working from home, it's got great advantages, but it can also be a huge disadvantage. If you're not the disciplined type of person that can really time block and control what you're doing, the invention of video games. I can distinctly remember conversations with my buddies, and I still hang out and visit with guys I served with, and they're my best friends in the world, right? And I can remember them talking to me and going, hey, man, there's this new game coming out on PlayStation. It's called Destiny. It's going to be like a 10-year game. We'll be able to get online, have headphones, and talk. It'll be awesome, man. We'll be able to have beers together. And I've got guys in England and, all across the U.S. And I was like, who's got time for that? I don't have time for that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Until you get it. And then it's like crack.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world. This is why have I not been doing this all my life? This is awesome. And so then, fast forward, 6 months, and my wife's like, Destiny is the worst thing in the world. PlayStation sucks. I'm going to throw that thing in the pool, get it out of my house. I mean, I really had to self-control and go, okay, you're right. I need to go work. I need to not have that thing. Get rid of that thing. Put me on screen time. I gotta have allocated screen time, and it's terrible.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about because we got into Destiny, and it is an amazing game.
I still play it on Sundays with my buddies.
Yeah,
and I don't play it near as much as I used to, and I don't really care as much as I used to, but I still play that game, and it's been 10 or 11 years.
Yeah,
I play it. I mean.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We were for a long time. We were on a Destiny kick.
Yep.
We just get on and play. Now we play more like we still play. Even Logan and I, we play Call of Duty.
Yep, my son plays that.
Fortnite.
I tried Fortnite for a while, And here's a funny story. I actually met a lender while playing Fortnite with my son. We're playing together, and our setups, I never wanted them to have televisions in our room, especially with the advent of internet and stuff, and they're online. And I always wanted to be able to hear who they're talking to and just kind of be able to go, hey, who you talking to? And just never wanted them to have that. So they have a game room set up. Brooks has his little corner with his PC that he made, and he's got the curved screen and done all. He's super talented with his art table. And then Grant has his little L couch and his PlayStation 5 and all that kind of mess. But before that, I would have one in the living room. They would have one in the back, and we would play together, even though on headset, we're 20 feet away. And I was playing, and this female voice came on. I was like, oh my God. First, awesome. Not that,
right.
Everyone can play video games, but it's just rare to hear a female play. And she was like, yeah, hey, how you doing? And I was like, oh, this and that. And we just kind of introduced ourselves. I'm on playing with a kid. Oh, yeah, me too. Da, 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 da. What part of country? Oh, I'm in Dallas-Fort Worth. Oh, me too. Oh, what do you do? I'm a lender. I'm a realtor. Oh, wow, we should meet. Well, she lived in McKinney. We met, hung out, had lunch, talked, said, hey, maybe we should do some deals together. So funny. She introduced me to a family, and I was up against Redfin, and how commissions are negotiable. And so I was sitting there, and I said, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's what I bring to the table. But this is what I charge. And they're like, I think we're going to go with you. I was more than double what they were going to pay Redfin. I sold their house in Cedar Hill. I helped them buy a house in DeSoto. And then I just got their son, who's moving from Hawaii to town, going to help him buy a house. But that's all from Fortnite.
Wow.
So
video games, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I told my wife. Like, well, I have to play video games now because this is where all my deals come from. So yeah, if I'm online, I'm like, honey, I'm trying to get deals. That's all it is. I'm just trying to get deals. That's it. So,
right. No,
yeah, so
that's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a great story actually.
Yeah. Fortnite's awesome. It's kind of frustrating, especially in the beginning, because I would land and then I would get killed.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is the dumbest game in the world. Like, why don't I know where the bad guys are? And my son's like, Dad, you got to listen. You got to pay attention. You got to know what you're doing. I'm like, this is dumb. So I play a couple of games now, but I don't play nearly as much as I used to. Being a part of this brokerage now, I also, I met, you mentioned Michael. I met Michael and I met Rich and I've met Robin and I've met Pam and I met a bunch of other agents and you, Meyer. And it's been really cool that other people have introduced me to other things. And so one day we were standing around at an event and I'm chatting and I just met Rich and he's like, hey, what do you do to work out? And I was like, yeah, not much. I don't really do that. I don't really do that. And he's like, no, what do you, and I'm like, nothing really. I kind of had an injury and I'm over 45. And he's like, those are excuses. Stop doing that. He goes, you should come to this workout group. It's called F3 Nation. And I was like, okay, what is that? And he's like, man, it's fitness, fellowship, and faith. It's all men. It's outside, rain or shine, peer-led. You should come. Hey, man, I'll even come with you on your first workout. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. When do they do that? 5:30 in the morning. I was like, people get up at that hour? And so literally I go and I show up and I'm like, this is the dumbest. Why am I here? And he's like, be happy. It's a beautiful day and da-da-da. And I'm like, this is miserable. Who wants to be up at 5:30 in the morning? And I got to work out now? Well, I threw up the first 2 times and then I continued to come back. And it's really kind of a neat program. You get a call sign. So my call sign is Dreidel. Rich's cousin Eddie.
That's cool.
I've been trying to talk Michael into coming, but he's the same way as I was. He's like, who wants to get up at 5? Well, I tell you all that because it's limited my video game play. It's limited my drinking. So I'm getting in better shape. I go now Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 5:30 in the morning. And then my wife invited me to go with her to hot yoga. So now on Fridays and Saturdays, I go to hot yoga. But hot yoga starts at 5.
Ooh.
So you can't stay up late playing video games.
Right.
You can't stay up late drinking, hanging
You'll
out.
sweat it out in yoga.
Or you won't get up.
Oh, you won't get up
Or you'll
more
feel
so.
like a bag of hammered.
I think that's probably more the
Yeah.
right thing. You probably won't get up.
You probably won't. So, a lot of things have happened as a result of coming to JPAR and being a part of this family. I've gotten referrals from agents in Houston that just get to know me on. They have a call with our CEO called Coffee with Chris every Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m. And you just get on and talk about, what you're grateful for in life and how business is going. And then we usually talk about things that are happening in real estate. And I guess I come across as charismatic and gregarious and happy. I had people at the GNC, the national celebration, came up and gave me a cigar and gave me pats on the back. And they're like, man, you brighten my day and all this kind of stuff. And so just as a result of that, I think things have happened. And Rich and I have talked about, Rich plays Call of Duty, but he he gave up video games for Lent.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm kind of glad I'm not really religious. So I can still have, who wants to give things up? That's not my style. I got good buddies now, which is good because there for a while I didn't, my core guy friends, he kind of moved off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to make friends as a dude when your kids are older. It's easier when your kids are younger and they're playing, sports and they're going to Taekwondo and they're doing all this stuff and you're there and you're like standing next to somebody like, oh, who's your, okay, cool. Yeah. We have similar interests. Okay, great. And then you start hanging out. Right.
Right.
But when they start getting older, they don't want you at their events. And so you're not, maybe there's 3 other parents.
Right.
And then, you're trying to hang out or do something. It just doesn't work. So meeting Rich and Michael and you and the rest of the people that I've met, we've started to form relationships and be friends and do things outside of work.
Right.
Which I think you really need as well.
Yeah. And you're talking about that mental health thing,
100%.
So, and tell me a little bit more about F3. I'm kind of curious because that's really interesting. It's faith. No.
Yeah, so it's fitness, fellowship, and faith.
Okay.
So it does have, you can be any faith that you want. They didn't kick me out when I don't. So the kind of the premise of it is it's peer led, it's men only. It's you come together. We go. Our group is called the UTA Danger Zone and Top Gun. So Top Gun is over at UTA baseball field in the parking lot. And you show up, and the first time, and it's whomever is leading it, and we do exercise. It's all calisthenic and natural weight. We do have a weight. It is a concrete block, like you get at Home Depot. And you realize really quick how heavy that thing is. Number one, you got to wear gloves because it'll tear up your hands. Number two, it's really super awkward to lift. And so we do curls and, rifle carries and all this other stuff, suitcase carry. It's really pretty crazy. And this young man, his name is Buffet. He actually owns the CC's Pizza right over here on Little. He and his dad. He's 25 years old, and he's running this workout. And we're doing all these push-ups, and Rich has got a big smile on his face, and I'm wanting to die. And, we're doing all this stuff, and we finish, and I'm throwing up over in the grass, and Rich is like high-fiving everybody. And we stand around, and they're like, okay, tell us a little bit about yourself. And it's like a circle of trust. And I happened to be wearing my Navy sweatshirt that day. And I was like, I was a Hebrew linguist in the Navy and da-da-da-da-da. Now I'm a realtor, blah, 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 blah. And one of the guys goes, well, are you Jewish? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, but did you ever sing that song, Dreidel, Dreidel? And I was like, yeah, that was part of like going through Hebrew school. And he's like, and that became my call sign, right? Or my nickname. And I got guys like Filter and Dog Bite and Diesel and Cousin Eddie and Buzz and just all these weird.
That's so cool though. I feel like it adds like an element.
It's a kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
And so then when you're done, they do have like a prayer that they come together and they ask for prayers and stuff like that. And I'm respectful. I kneel with and I don't make a scene or anything like that. And I found that it's just the fellowship part of it that's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so, we had a guy his name is Socks. He's 67 years old, and he comes out there and he works out, and it's awesome. And he's led the group. And so what you do is you kind of rotate and you take on running the workout. And so I've done it a couple of times, and it's really a kind of so it helps you like with leadership, and it helps you with camaraderie.
Yeah.
And you're out there at 5:30 in the morning. I mean, I was out there yesterday, rain or shine.
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine. You know, we've got a pavilion we go under when it starts raining.
Okay.
And you have to modify and stuff. But it's a lot of fun, and I would never have known about it had it not been for meeting Rich that day.
Right.
And just kind of putting things together, and it's been good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's that I knew briefly because we had talked about it at the office, but I mean that is such a brilliant idea, especially with, I don't know, this is just based on what I hear. I listen to Jordan Peterson a lot, and he talks about how men are a lot of men struggling, right? Like the way society, it's like, don't be man, but then at the same time when things get hard, it's like, come on, man, where are you?
Yep. Right.
So and this fellowship here where this group of F3 where it's all men, and it's you're doing hard things, and then you're being present, and you're thinking about the things you're grateful for. As a matter of fact, like sometimes when I get upset or mad, I think I've learned to teach myself. I'm like, okay, let me get to the side and think about the things I'm grateful for.
Right.
And that usually kind of turns around whatever negative emotions I was feeling at the moment. So I think it's huge.
Oh, it's 100%. So early in my life, I was 18. I had a really traumatic event happen to me. And this is before internet and before cell phones and doing all that mess. And I didn't realize how messed up I was mentally. I just had no idea. I used to get in a lot of fights. I used to drink my face off. And I just thought, oh, that's just being, 20.
Right.
Or 30 or 40. And I never really thought anything of it. And I started reading and paying attention more and getting involved in mental health and figuring out that, hey, it's okay to go to counseling. It's okay to have a therapist. It's okay to talk things out. And I've done a lot of work on myself over the last probably 10 or 15 years of going and doing all this stuff. But I still had that one bag that I kept carrying with me, and I couldn't figure out how to put it down. Tried to put it down. It's affected my relationships. It's affected my mental capacity. It's affected me as a dad. It's affected me as a husband, a friend. My parents, I haven't been home to their home. It's not my home. I haven't been to their home. I think I counted it up the other day. It's been like 12 years.
Wow.
I mean, we just had a very estranged relationship because of this event. And finally, my wife, and I were talking, and she's like, look, you've done all this work. I was at a conference the other day, and I heard about this thing. I think you should try it out. And it's called EMDR, and it's eye movement reconditioning, EMDR, eye movement recovery, or desensitive recovery. I can't remember exactly what it stands for. Anyway, it reshapes your brain.
Okay.
And it rewires your neuropaths. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And she's like, look, this guy is Dr. Ellison. He's right here on Green Oaks. He's like world renowned, and he's right around the corner. I'm like, get out of town. So I call the guy, and we have a session. He's like, yeah, you're very similar to PTSD and guys I deal with war and stuff like that. He goes, I'd like to do this, and let's see how it helps. And I said, okay, so what, this sounds dumb. And he goes, I want you to really be as skeptical as you can be. And I was like, all right. And I come back, and it's very expensive. And we're talking, and he goes, yeah, so it's kind of like this, my old man was a farmer, and one day he goes out to try and crank the tractor, and the tractor won't crank. So he gets on his horse, and he rides his horse into town, talks to the mechanic. Mechanic comes out the next day, drives his little pickup truck, walks over to the tractor, looks at it for a minute, takes a hammer, whacks it with a hammer, says, try it now. The guy goes, what do you, gets in, cranks, fires right up. Guy goes, that'll be $5. Guy goes, $5? That's 5 days worth of wages. He goes, yeah, it's not about how to fix it. It's knowing where to hit it, right?
Ooh.
And I was like, okay. And I kind of was like, all right, whatever. So I go back the next session and we're talking about this. And he goes, okay, follow my pen. Okay. And he's going to wave it back and forth. He goes, I want you to picture this event and all the negative emotions that you had and all the stuff that you've dealt with all these years. And he goes, I want you to think about that and how you feel. And he does this back and don't move your head, just do it with your eyes. And I'm like, oh, what? Okay. And he's like, finishes and he goes, how do you feel? And I'm like, I could physically feel like pressure and uncomfortable and heat. I just was like, I don't like this at all. This is terrible. Make it go away. And he's like, okay, now think about that same event, but think about all the wonderful things you need, the love, the support, whatever it is that all the positive emotions. He goes, okay, do it. Da, 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 da. And he finishes and it was like, I mean, literally, it was the weirdest thing I've ever done in my life. It was weird. Like I could physically feel myself change. And he goes,
wow.
And my body changed, my demeanor changed. I became more relaxed. And I'm like, he goes, how do you feel now? And I go, I said, I kind of feel like I'm like tired. I said, I feel more like I've run a marathon. He goes, yeah, what's really cool is he goes, I really didn't do anything. Your brain just completely rerouted around the challenge. He goes, it's almost like a record skip where or like, those Roomba vacuums. It's like keeps hitting the wall, and it can't really ever turn around and go a different direction, get around the wall. In my life for the last 31 years, I was hitting the same spot. And my brain would not get over this spot. And I mean, I've cried and I could probably I couldn't get through trying to tell you what the event was without having a huge meltdown. And instantly it was gone. And I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. And he's like, let's have another session. He goes, go home. You're probably going to need a lot of water and rest and recovery. And I walked out into the parking lot. I called my wife and I said, you're not going to believe this. And she's like, tell me, I walked her through it. And I said, it was the dumbest exercise I've ever done in my life. I said, but I no longer have that feeling. I don't have that emotion. I went to visit my family and that was in October of last year. I went to see my family for Thanksgiving. Had no challenges with anyone. Could have a conversation without having to get drunk.
Wow.
In 31 years, that's what it took. And I said, so when it comes to mental health, there are a lot of things that I've done and a lot of things that I support. And being happy and healthy and taking care of the trauma or the things that have happened in your life are hugely important to me. And it's really funny because in those conversations with Chris Sears and his opportunity and stuff, he and I have talked on many occasions and we share similarities in that. And when I was telling him about that, he's like, I'm reading a book on EMDR right now. And he goes, it's the most fascinating thing. I go, it was discovered on an accident. The doctor was out on a hike and he was like following the birds and the trees or whatever. And he was thinking about his own mental challenges. And his brain rerouted and he's like, what in the heck? And so the doctor, Dr. Ellison, that I went to used to be really big into hypnotherapy and stuff. And when he heard about EMDR, he was like, this is dumb. It's hokey, whatever. And then when he saw it work he's like, I've got to be a part of that. I've got to take care of all of our soldiers and veterans and, anyone who's had life trauma, females, with maybe abuse or sexual, trauma or whatever it is. And, there's only about 35% of the population that has this done that really can do it and only do it one time and they're good. Sometimes they have to come back and do it 2 or 3 times. But I was one of the few that can do it. And I did one session.
Wow.
And I say that because it changed my demeanor. And so I went, and so that was in October. And so later on that month, I met up with a group of guys that I served in the Navy with, and we try to get together once a year. And we're in Boulder, Colorado. And I get there and I'm telling them about this, and they're like, shut up. And I'm like, just do me a favor. Watch me this weekend. See if you notice anything different. I mean, we've been friends for 31 years. I said, just see if, if I'm different, if you notice anything. We're wrapping up on, the last day of our trip. And I said, we're sitting out on the patio and we're all having a good time. And I said, so did you guys see anything different or notice anything? They're like, yeah. I was like, well, what are you talking about? And they're like, dude, you're not all amped up all the time. You're not walking around with a scowl on your face. We didn't get any fights this week. He goes, usually you're always pissed off or something's bothering you or you're, and I was like,
Wow.
I swear, I think that, and it's affected my home life. It's helped out. I mean, I think truly, so the short of that is yes, mental health is a true thing. Men should do it more than probably than anyone. Mainly because, when we're growing up, it's, rub some dirt on it. Don't cry. What are you crying about? And it's easier today because of more sensitive, I think society is that way. But back when I was growing up, man, be a man. Don't cry. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. So my sons, well, all four of my children have seen me cry. I cry pretty often. I think it's healthy. I think it's acceptable. But when I was dealing with that particular trauma issue, it was really hard for me, and I didn't know about this stuff. I really, 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 really wish. Well, I can't say that because then I wouldn't know how my life turned out. But if I got to keep the same things I have today, but without all that crap,
Yeah.
I wish I'd had it 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, having a conversation with my mom, we lost years and years. She really doesn't know my children. She doesn't come to visit. I don't go to visit. There for a long time, I didn't even talk to her on the phone.
Yeah.
And so you have that detachment. And so, like I said, it affects your relationships because I could cut you off and be like, all right, thank you. Have a nice day. And you'd be like, what? But we've been friends for 10 years. Yeah, but you pissed me off and now I'm done.
Yeah.
You're dead to me now. And I look at it now and I'm like, that's the dumbest way to look at things.
Wow.
But because I was messed up.
Right.
But yeah, it's
You just didn't know how to deal with it.
had no idea.
Yeah, and as you're mentioning it, last year, I think it was around November, that I went to Tony Robbins'
Yeah.
seminar, and they briefly talked about EMDR, but just very briefly. And now that you're talking about it, it came back to me,
It's crazy.
and I'm gonna look into that more because yeah. That's incredible. I'm fascinated.
Oh, it was the coolest thing. I mean, it was really kind of a dumb trick.
Exercise.
Trick is not the right word, but exercise is a great word. It was really kind of a very simple exercise. I mean, he's asking questions while he's doing it. He's taking notes or whatever, and he's skilled at what he's doing.
Right.
But as a layperson, I'm like, this is dumb, but it works.
It's like kind of like magic.
It was like, and he's like, he goes, I could see it in your face. He goes, I knew when it happened. I'm like, what? He's like, man, your whole body changed. He goes, and that's what I get paid to do. He goes, that's the coolest part about what I do. And I'm like, that is awesome. I said, because you have done something for me that I have wanted to do for 30 years. And you put that in perspective, 30 years.
Wow.
That's it's a long time.
That is a long time.
And part of my problem was I was like, it's been so long. I'll just get over it. You really can't. When you have something traumatic happen to you in your life, it's really hard to get over. And it's helpful for me to have conversations with other people that I know that they've had things in their life, and you can't just say, get over,
time will
hit. Time
will
don't
heal.
do shit. Time does certain things,
right.
and you can kind of deal with it, but it's like an injury too. I mean, you'll find a way to get around it.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is other things start to hurt
Right.
because you're compensating for that injured limb or whatever, right?
Yes.
And so for 30 years, I was compensating, but I was drowning myself in alcohol. I was not talking to my friends, not talking to my parents, not having a relationship, and just being miserable and alone.
Yeah.
Well, that's no fun.
Right.
We're not meant to be that.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's amazing that you're able to experience that,
Yeah.
and especially because it's fairly new, right? I mean, it's
Probably
kind of
within the
coming
last 10
up.
years, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe
So it's
even newer than I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's so yeah, very, very, very early on, I would say, because I mean, things like that kind of take a long time to until it becomes kind of popular. So wow, I'm
There you go.
so blown away.
Yeah.
That is amazing, especially probably especially hearing it from like firsthand, from you sitting in front of me, just telling me your experience. It's very impactful, I would think.
It's, I don't talk about it a lot, but I have talked about it more recently just because I think it's important.
It
I
is
think people should know. I mean, everyone's going through something,
always
right? Everyone's going through something.
right.
But if you can put it out there and say, hey, I was going through it too, but here's what I did and here's what then maybe it's relatable and somebody can go, oh, well, if he did it, I can go do that.
Right,
And
exactly.
he's not, he's not messed up from it. It's not. And, even Dr. Ellison was like, look, we're going to try this. And if it doesn't work, it's not going to do anything to you. Like, it's not going to make you crazy. It's not going to,
Right.
he goes, it'll either work or it won't.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, well, okay. And he goes, if it doesn't, then we'll address other issues.
Yeah.
And then when it worked, I mean, we're both sitting there and I'm just like looking at him like, I can't, like, where have you been? I mean, really. So,
Yeah. Now, no, that's I'm thank you for sharing that
oh, you're welcome.
story. That's an amazing story, and I've been touched. Like I've been touched in the sense that like I'm inspired to learn more about that, and the whole mental thing stuff. Like I don't know, I'm fascinated by all that stuff.
It's awesome. And with telehealth now, too. I mean, I found my therapist. He lives in Amarillo.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, let's try that. Awesome. And then when I was traveling with my family to Colorado, we stopped in Amarillo. And I called him up and I said, hey, Adrian, is it weird if we like have breakfast together? I go, like, I don't come to your office for appointments. I said, but I want to meet you. I want to shake your hand. I want to give you a hug and say thank you. And he's like, of course, brother, let's go. And so we went and had breakfast, and it was just like picking up an old friend. I mean, when you're in therapy, I think that's key too, is shop around. It's like dating. Find the one for you. It may not be the first one, but have those conversations and see. And it's okay to say, you know what, I think I'm going to look for another one. And if the therapist is half, their weight in salt or whatever, they'll agree with you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's your mental health that they should care about, right?
Right.
And if you're going to share stories and you're going to share your life and open up and do all this stuff, you want to have somebody there that you can relate to or that you can share experience with and that you can be like, hey, that'll help you out.
That you can trust.
That you can trust. And I've gone through, I don't know, probably a half dozen
Wow.
in the
Yeah.
last 10 or 15 years. And they've been female, they've been male, they've been older, they've been my age.
Yeah.
But when I found him just, I think it's Headway, I think is the app. And they put their profile or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, he deals with that. Okay, great. Let's give him he looks like a nice guy. And my first session, I mean, I'm bawling and I'm like, just a mess. And he's like, it'll be okay, man. I've been there. It'll be all right. And so we started, just once a week. And then we moved it out once every other week. Now I still do it, and it's probably about once a quarter, and it's more like a check-in,
Right.
which I still highly recommend because you think it's almost like, well, I'm not sober, but if I were to be sober, like in sobriety or whatever, you need that check-in, right?
Right.
Same thing with mental
Accountability.
Accountability. You need to go back and make sure that you're okay and that, curveballs in your life or whatever haven't messed you up.
Right.
Or you haven't gotten down on yourself or whatever. And so
that you're seeing things or yourself objectively, and
Yeah.
a lot of times it's like sometimes we do a bad job of looking at ourselves objectively,
it's-
right?
we do a horrible job. I mean, we're the worst critic of ourselves anyway.
Right.
We constantly negative speak. I'm never good enough. I'm never good looking. I'm too fat. I'm too old. I'm too short. I'm too whatever I'm not.
Right.
I'm always not. Well, that's not the right way to go about it. I've kind of always been a believer in the universe, that you put good things out there, good things happen.
Yeah.
The ball will bounce in your direction more times than not.
Right.
If you're always kind of negative and down and life sucks and I think you're sick more. I think you're unhealthy and usually more overweight. Not that I'm an epitome of, athlete or anything like that, but
But health is huge.
But almost 50. And I'm
Wow.
better than most.
Yeah. Yeah. You do not look 50.
Well, thank you. I'll
You do
be
not.
50 in 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, wearing them great. Maybe that yoga.
Yeah, that's that. Well, that's what it is. Yeah.
No, it's no, I think that just especially like reading the stuff that I've kind of read about, especially like Ray Dalio, the current book that I'm reading, it's like it literally tells you that it's important to, have kind of like a mentor, a therapist, or somebody to check in with.
Yes.
And
And not your spouse. No, I mean,
no,
I mean,
agreed.
honestly, and I'm saying
Agreed.
it not to be funny or silly or whatever, but you
Yes.
do. I mean, your spouse is going to be there for you because they love you, right?
Right.
And sometimes they're not going to tell you the truth that you really need to hear.
Mm,
You need to talk to somebody that's going to look at you and go, "Hey, get your shit together.
right.
This is real.
Yeah.
Stop telling yourself that it's okay because it's really not. And here's what you need to do to fix it.
Mm.
And are you really going to do that?" And sometimes your spouse will go, "Oh, well, it's okay. I love you. We'll get through it together." And sometimes you need somebody to go, "Hey, wake up. Let's go."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Put that hard stop. Yeah, it sounds like your wife also has been like a huge influence. Like,
She's awesome.
she connected you with this EMDR doctor,
Well, and she's been there through all the crap.
especially, right?
I mean,
she
really.
stuck with you, kind of figure out solutions to some of the things that maybe need attention, right? And to overall have a better life, have a better home, have a better relationship.
I mean, it's not all, yeah. I mean, yes, she is awesome for that because she has been there and could have gone, "I can't deal with this.
Yeah,
You're too much.
right.
I don't know what your problem is, but you're too much. I can't deal with that."
Right.
And over years, we've gone, okay, let's piece. All right, you do need help. How can you get help?
Mm.
And then I would go and I'd be okay for a little bit, but it was always that running into the same wall. And so we finally got to the point where she was like, "Look, I think this is the final piece that you need to put it together. You've done all this other hard work. This is, from what I understand, it's pretty easy. Now you've just got to do it." And I put it off for 6 months.
Yeah, but you still did it.
I did it.
And I think, having the support, whether it's a therapist, your wife or spouse, or multiple at the same time, ultimately it's really up to you to say, "Yeah, I'll do it." Because you could have also said, "Well, she's trying to change me, or they're trying to change me. Screw them, bye."
Well, 20
You know?
years ago, that's pretty much the attitude I had.
Mm,
Like, no, I'm good. Thank you. I've gotten here on my own. I'll be fine.
mm,
Instead of, I finally went, "All right, you got a woman here who's awesome." And my wife is fantastic. She's a professor at UTA. That's part of the reason why, well, that is the reason why we moved here. She graduated with her PhD and got a job here at UTA. And I mean, we met when I was 23 years old in the
Mm.
Navy. And then we got married when I was 25. Well, I was 25. She was 24.
mhm.
But she's been with me
Wow.
half my life,
Yeah.
which is weird when you have that conversation. Like I was telling Michael the other day, I was like, "Yeah, we're married for 20." Like when you say just out loud 25 years, but you don't really put that in perspective. 25 years is a long time anyway. But when you go, "Yeah, but that's half my life."
Wow. Right.
I mean, that's bizarre. And so could we have hung it up 100 times? Sure. We could have given up. We could have, but when you're together that long and you've got, history and you've got kids and you've got houses and you've got life.
Yeah.
You don't throw it away just for little things. I mean, and little things can be big things, but you put it in perspective and you go, okay, here's life over 25 years. You're going to have hiccups.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to have bigger than hiccups. Are you going to just throw it away and try and do it with someone else? What's the point of that?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, kudos to her. She's put up with a lot of stuff. But in turn, we both do.
Right.
I mean, she too has gone through a lot of stuff, and now she's addressing her mental health for the first time ever. And that's an experience as well.
Yeah. Wow. That is, I think that is really kind of like the key is kind of, okay, there's stuff that's going to come our way, life, right?
Yep.
And it's about, it's kind of like even in real estate a little bit. You have a goal, which is to buy a house. You want to, or sell. You want to have a good team that's going to help you, accomplish that. As in relationship wise, let's say in a household, it's also a team, right?
Yep.
It's a team, and we're gonna have life, weather, economics, just family, friends, all kinds of things thrown at us, and we have to figure out how to stick as a team, and and live the life we kind of want to live, and figure out how to fight those things that are getting in the way.
Yep.
So it's really like a teamwork. It's a lot of it. So that's great to hear, and that's great insight, I think, even just for anybody listening, because it kind of puts it very like humane, right? Like, a lot of times people, social media is a big thing. Like, you just want to post the good things. Nothing bad is going on here. Everything's great.
Yep.
And it's just creating this distortion that maybe it's not really helping a lot of our young adults, like thinking like things need to be perfect or they shouldn't be that way.
Yep.
If they're not the way I want them, then I have to find another way. And no, I think it's like figuring out how to create systems or how to create ways to tackle problems, to tackle situations, and it's a learning along the way kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is not who I was last year, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. It's an evolution.
It's an evolution.
And if you're, it's just like anything in business and real estate. We have to have continuing education as realtors, right? To prove our worth and show our value and be knowledgeable in the marketplace, or stay up to date on things like the National Association of Real Estate, lawsuit and those kinds of things. Well, in life, you got to do that too. Reading, watching, not just consuming television and those kinds of, but listening to Tony Robbins or podcasts, or, like the Powwow podcast and things like that, so that you can learn and experience other things. One of the roles I have at JPAR is a career manager, and I talk to a lot of agents looking to come to our brokerage. And one of the things that caused me to come here was a big diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm big on that. With a non-binary child, it's important to me. But also because when I grew up, everything was very black and white. And I mean that very literally. And my family and stuff was like, we keep over here and they keep over there. And that never set well with me. Even like going to church and things like that, it never felt like, even those that were Christian or whatever religion, they never seemed to practice what they preached, and they never seemed to be inclusive. And so when I was looking, I made my decision to come here. Part of the thing was about equity and inclusion and diversity. And so what I love is when you go into an event or an office or anything like that, you see people that don't look like you, that aren't from where you're from, that don't talk like you. And I think that creates an environment for learning. Because if we're different, then I can learn from you and your experiences in life, and you can learn from me and my experiences in life. And we've come from different places. And what's wrong with being partners and teams and helping each other out? Although we're realtors in the same market, and we are quote unquote competition, we're never going to be competition
Right.
because you are a person that attracts a certain type of person. I'm a person who attracts a certain type of person. We could be on a podcast or a video and say the exact same script. You'll attract different people than I will. So,
Yeah.
and there's enough people around
Yeah.
that everyone. Here's one thing that'll catch you off guard is everyone needs a place to live. Everyone.
Right.
Now, whether that's they can afford it or it's rental, what. But regardless, everyone needs a place to live.
Right.
So you and I, as professionals, should always be needed, and and so.
Right.
Yeah. So
No, I agree. Simon Sinek really, it's big on this because he's more in the corporate world, but he talks about how it's like, say like CVS, Walgreens, maybe they'll see each other as competition, but in reality, it's what does he call it? It's not competition. It's more like I forgot the word, but it's basically like, okay, if you're improving, I'm improving.
sure.
And it's, vice versa. Like we have evolved because, competition, like, but it's more so, okay, you're making something better. Or say there's one thing on the market, right? There's one auto repair place. Well, if that's the only one, they have really no incentive to get better because they're the only ones there.
Yep.
Then now you have another one coming in and say they offer something more or something or better service, whatever. In reality, instead of this person saying, "Oh, well, he's taking my business," yada yada, it's more like, "Okay, what is he doing that I'm not? Oh, there is actually room for me to grow. I can do also these other things to
Yep.
make my business better." So, he talks greatly about just because in the corporate world there's a lot of like competition, I guess. In the negative kind of like looking at it the negative way, he puts Microsoft and Apple as kind of like the examples.
Mhm.
Microsoft being like, well, at years ago, being like he said he went to 2 conferences, and he went to Microsoft first, and all they talked about at Microsoft was how to beat Apple. And then he went to an Apple conference, and all they talked about was how to enhance the user's experience.
Yep.
And so, to me, that's kind of like mind blowing,
Well,
right?
see who's on
And
top right now. It's not Microsoft.
and so, that is just, looking at it from that way of like, oh, there's this person that does the same thing I do or something similar, or we're in the same realm. How can we help each other? How can we we have something to offer, they have something to offer. How do we come together and, overall just improve and overall help really the people that we're here for, which is the community, right? Or, which I think is exactly what you guys are doing too at the office. F3, the group there at JPAR meeting on Mondays or not meeting Mondays and just meeting overall and sharing ideas.
Yep.
That's the idea.
I think so. I mean, we're coming together kind of as a group, and we all three have different backgrounds and different ideas, and we do business differently. We just brought on a young lady as well, Angelina, and we're just trying to help each other. She's an agent. She's going to do some transaction coordination for us and stuff, but we're trying to say, okay, we've got other deals too. How do we help you get more deals? How do we get you in front of more people? How can we build your business better as well? Not that we're experts or anything like that, but if the three of us are trying to do that together, and now the fourth, and we plug in with you, and now we're 5, and we plug in with the 16100 group, now we're 50. Now we plug in with JPAR, now we're 2,000. And we plug in with all these other people. We're trying to, success breeds success, and we're trying to just help each other out. And at the end of the day, we have different whys, and none of our whys currently at least our small little group, none of our whys are money driven.
Mm.
I mean, we like money.
Right.
We want to make money.
Right.
We don't work for free.
Right.
But we're not so focused on it that's the only thing.
That's not the driver.
No, because I learned that years ago that it used to be a very big focus in my life. But it brought me no joy. I mean, I'd make, nearly six figures in a month. That's a lot of money. And
Wow.
it was like, okay, so what? Now what are you going to do with it? Now what? And you're like, so what is my other purpose? So by being involved with hero programs and F3 and these things, that you start to realize, okay, I'm here for something different. How can I be an advocate? How can I help out? Yes, I'll make money, but as long as I'm fair and equitable, I'll do enough business to be profitable and do well for my family. But I can also give back. I can also help, young couples buy homes or young people, I guess. And so it just,
And does that bring you more happiness?
100%. 100%. And I think it's because of being around other people that don't look like me and don't talk like me. And, I'm from Mississippi, but I don't really sound like I'm from Mississippi.
No, you don't. I would never guessed it.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Which one?
That I
What
don't
is?
sound like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's taken years of practice. Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, it's because when you do sound like that, people look at you differently.
Really?
Oh, 100%. 100%. If you've got a Southern twang and it's always less than. You're not as intelligent as everyone else, and you have a certain view on the world. And I try to be.
It's stereotyped.
Oh, 100%. I mean, when I went into the Navy, I got to see other people that weren't from where I was from. And guess what? We all bleed the same. We all put our pants on the same. We're fairly similar. And why people focus on all the differences never made sense to me. And so I've tried to do that in my life. I've tried to teach my sons that. Both my sons currently have girlfriends, and neither of their girlfriends are ethnically the same as we are, which I think is awesome. We allow them the chance to be their own people. I don't tell them what my religious interests are and say, okay, this now has to be yours. Why? Yeah, you're my child, but let's experience the world and see what it has to offer, and let's try different things, and let's visit with different people, and let's not put everyone in a box. And I think my wife's helped us with that. Being in criminology and juvenile justice and seeing a lot of the turmoil that happens with minorities and justice system and all this other stuff. It's really, that's a whole nother thing, but
right.
But yeah, so
it's where the perspective comes from.
So being a part of things where not everyone looks like you, and I mean, one of the cool things about Michael is he's lived all over the world.
Right.
I mean, like world.
Yeah.
Not just like
the globe.
Yes. And like he's trilingual. He's lived in Thailand. He's lived in Colombia. He's lived in Europe. That's awesome. Rich, was an executive at Verizon for nearly 30 years. And he's an Air Force veteran. And so he's got a different perspective. And his kids don't look like he does. And so, even in his own family unit, there's diversity.
Right.
And I just think that's really cool. And so when I can do that, and English is my first language, but there's with Michael it's not. He's Spanish first, and so it just brings a different ingredient, and I love that. And so I think diversity is great. I think being a partners is great. Trying to get perspective, whether it's your spouse or communicate.
Yeah.
Try to get ideas, and don't think that your idea is the only one and the best one.
Being open. Being open to different outcomes. Yeah, no, I love that. And, I would like to touch a little bit. I'd like to pick your brain or see kind of like what your perspective is on having a non-binary child, but that's completely up to you if you want to go there.
That's fine.
So, tell me a little bit of your experience with that as a father.
Yeah. So if I had not gotten out of where I was when I was a kid, so I distinctly remember wanting a pair of hot pink and black checkered Vans. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my old man was like, "What are you, gay?" And I was like, no. But what does it matter if I am? Okay, whatever. And this is the kind of environment that I grew up in. I wanted an earring. What are you, some kind of, you can't say those words, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, what? And so when I got away from that and being involved in the Navy and stuff and opening up to seeing my first gay man and being friends with him and going, well, that's not that bad.
Mm.
Okay, so he's different than I am, but he's still a dude, whatever.
Mhm.
And so as I went on with life, and then Kaylee was born, and growing up, she was a great young lady. We got along very well. I thought we had some really great connection, but I was divorced from her mother and lived apart from her from when she was about 4 on till today, right? And we always had great relationship, and I would travel everywhere to go and see them. And I always wanted to be, shown as like, hey, I love you no matter what, right? Well, when this event occurred, well, it's not really an event. When they expressed themselves to me and said, hey, Dad, I want you to know from now on going forward, I don't really consider myself female. I'm non-binary, bisexual. And for me, it wasn't like, oh my God, what? I was like, okay, can you help me understand that? How do I communicate? Is there anything I need to do? How can I support you? Okay, I know that I love you. Thank you for sharing that with me. Our relationship doesn't change, but only because I was exposed to different people. And I truly think my wife helps me with that too, is when you approach things, a lot of you do have prejudice. You can't really escape it, but how you deal with your prejudice is different, and what your perspectives are, right? And so sometimes I hear my old man in my back of my head, and I'll try to, and I'll go, oh, wait, that's not a really right way to enter this. Let's look at it from a perspective of, of other people, and how would you feel if you had to tell somebody that? And
Wow.
would you want them to ostracize you, or would you want them to love you? And so when Kaylee told me this, that was my first response was, okay, I love you. I thank you for sharing. Nothing has changed. Help me understand what that means. And so then it was explained, I'm no longer she, her. So I'd like you to address me as such. But mind you, again, she's 24, 25. So for 25 years, she's my little girl. This is my daughter. And now it's not.
Right.
That's the hardest part. Not from an exception part on my end.
Right.
It's just you now have to change all your vocabulary. You have to change your perspective. Well, not really perspective. You just have to change the way that you communicate.
Right. Right.
The love is still there for me. And so I said, okay, well, let me understand this. Okay, non-binary, bisexual, but you're married to a guy. Okay, I'm trying to process this. Do you like women? Yeah, Dad, that's what like, okay, just make sure. Okay, are you interested in women? Well, not necessarily, but I'm open to it. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. Help me understand like the other part. And so over time, though, what I found out was she also had trauma and had some sexual abuse on my ex-wife's family side, and had dealt with some things, and just no longer wanted to associate with that, and kind of wanted to disassociate herself and not be. And she's a beautiful young lady. I mean, well, person. See, even still today, it's really hard.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that I don't accept
Because
it.
it's just the way it's wired.
Yeah, maybe I need to go to EMDR for that too. But you look at it and you go, okay, I don't change as a. Even if she were to tell, or they were to tell me, hey, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, homosexual, whatever it is, my love for you doesn't change.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't, because that's such a difficult thing. I mean, that's why it's really hard for me to get involved in church and religion and stuff like that. When they put you in a box and say, this is not supposed to happen, then why is it happening? I mean, if there is a God, and we won't get into all that, but if there is, and he's supposed to be perfect and all this other stuff, then he doesn't make a mistake, correct?
Right.
Then if that's the situation, then why wouldn't that be accepted?
Right.
And so then why shouldn't we accept it? that's what so anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as a dad, it was fine. Kaylee was at first, Kaylee was like, how are you going to, she was nervous. See, it's hard. It's very difficult. They were nervous. And so for even initial, like even today when we speak, I slip up and I tell Kaylee, it's so difficult. I am making an effort. Please don't take my missteps as any kind of unacceptance or it's my challenge that I'm dealing with. I'm doing the best I can. Please understand that I'm this way for so long.
Yeah.
But I am trying.
Yeah.
I am trying. Please know that. And I've even written myself a note when I'm on the phone, they, them. And I use now, more Kaylee's name, which is weird. Just you don't normally say, Logan, how you doing today? Logan, this and that.
Right.
Logan, you always use a pronoun.
Right.
95% of the time.
Yeah.
And if you go through life and 95% of the time it's one word.
Right.
And then tomorrow it's not.
Right. It takes some adjustment.
And so Kaylee would get a little bit irritated with me in the beginning. And I said, you have to have patience too. You asked me to have patience.
Yeah.
And acceptance. Please do that for me as well. Understand I haven't changed. I love you. I'm here for you. I'm always going to be here for you. But give me a break a little bit.
I think the fact that you're communicating and the fact that you are trying just shows your love.
Yes.
Like that alone shows your love. And I'm so blown away by how you handle things. I love it.
It's not always right.
Right.
But I try to be less myopic. I grew up in a myopic environment. Racism and unacceptable inequality. It's
why do you think you have the perspective? Because it could have been so easy to say, yes, my dad and my mom are like this. That is the way it is. Why do you think? Was there any particular event or do you think you're just wired like this? How because it's so easy to your take is in my opinion it's more the difficult route, but in my opinion I feel like that it's the more inclusive, the more that's love, I would say, right? So if that's love, right? And so it's easy to go the other way of saying,
100%.
Yeah, no, this is us and this is what we do.
100%. I think as I'm older and I look back on my life and stuff, if you had asked me this 20 years ago, I wouldn't have really had a decent answer. And I don't know if this answer is decent or not, but I put it in perspective of the fact of moving around all the time.
Okay.
You can't really be picky and choosy about who you want to be friends with.
Oh,
because you're the new kid.
Right.
Well, you'll be friends with whoever will talk to you.
Interesting.
Right. And that's the only way I can really kind of think that that's how it is. Because I don't think I'm necessarily better or wired differently or, from this place of love and things I appreciate that. But that's not really kind of how I got to this. I just looked at it, the fact that it was like, okay, I'm always in this new situation. I've got to be friends with everyone. I can't be picky and choosy. Because otherwise nobody will be friends with me, right?
Right.
So you got to be open and accepting to everyone, right?
Wow.
And so as I got older and I started paying attention and hearing things and being privileged, and I just always was like, something's not right here. I don't think we should be exclusionary. Why do we not want to associate with these types of folks? Or, why can we do things with these groups and not this group? It never set well with me. And then when I had two young ladies knock on my door when I was probably 14 and wanted to hang out, and they don't look like me. So they were African American, and I was told, you won't play with those. And I was like, what? You don't even know them. And yet you automatically associate them with this terrible word. And I was like, that's not right. And so when I got in the Navy and I met other people, I always looked for opportunity. Well, even before I got in the Navy, when I was in college, I had an opportunity to hang out with a female who didn't look like me, who wasn't where I'm from. And I was telling my buddy, and he's like, "You can't tell anyone that. They'll murder you here." And I'm like, What's the big deal? She's hot. she was nice to me, and she was gorgeous. He's like, you can't do that. And I'm like, what? Are you out of your mind? He's like, dude, we're in Starkville, Mississippi. You can't do that. This is in 1992. Well, fast forward, I didn't know this, but in places in Mississippi at the time still had segregated proms.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I try not to do that, passing it on with my family. And I think my wife's the same way. And so that's how we kind of gravitated towards each other.
Mm.
We look at things a little bit differently. We're open to other ideas, other lifestyles, other choices. Who's it to say that the government or the religion or this book or this person says who I have to be and how I have to be it?
Right.
Now, be lawful and be ethical and be those kinds of
good
things.
Civilian.
Just be a good person, right?
Right.
I don't think you need religion for that. I mean,
Yeah.
we're basically taught what right and wrong is. So I just don't think it's right to exclude people.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think that's just not the right way to do it. And it, you know, I just kind of try to be a good dude to everyone. And it works out, I think, way more in your favor than, you know,
right.
than excluding people.
The not right. And yeah, no, I agree. That's, I can see, I can understand that. That's a wonderful answer, because basically what I see that you just explained is because you guys moved so much, you were exposed to interact with different people, and you were able to see something that maybe at home they were able to see because they were, maybe just kind of distancing themselves. But as a child, that's a beautiful thing about being a kid, is that you kind of have no filter, and so you're just, you go more based on kind of like your natural base self, right? Your emotions. And you were exposed to being around different people, and you were able to learn from them, and you were able to understand that, hey, like you just said, like, you don't know them, why are you saying, so you were able to understand and differentiate those scenarios, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna take my own way, because so that's,
I mean, we've taken our kids to the Equal Justice Museum in Montgomery, Alabama. This place is a powerful museum. It has it's an outdoor museum, and it's got the names of every person that's ever been lynched in every county in every state, and they hang on a piece of like copper. It's about 6 or 7 feet tall and about 3 feet wide, and they hang like someone would if they were hung. Okay. And I've taken my sons there, and we've gone through, and I'm just a mess right now. I'm crying, and I'm like, this is terrible. But we're showing it to show, hey, this happened, and this shouldn't have happened. And we're talking in the car, and I'm like, and then that kind of came up, and they're like, Dad, we really appreciate the fact that you've never put that on us or whatever, and you don't act like that, and you don't say those words and that kind of stuff. And I said, well, I really appreciate it. It's because it could have been very easily for me to do that. I said, I grew up with those words. I said, I grew up with that hate. I said, you can't, put yourself in a different scenario and say, I wish I would have done something different. But I would have hoped that if I were in that time frame or in that era, it would be very difficult to be the kind of person I am today, because you would be so against the norm, right? Even still today, being equitable and inclusive is still not normal. Yeah. I mean, the quote unquote norm is still to have division. I mean, look at our country. I mean, we're politically divided, we're economically divided, we're religiously divided. No one's really just trying to help everyone out. It's all about me, 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 me.
Wow.
Well, as a society and humanity, until we get all on the same page, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Not to get all super weird, but like Star Trek, man.
Yeah.
We got to be for the humanity.
No, you're
not for-
talking and I'm seeing it.
You know what I mean? But if we
Yeah.
don't, I don't know, man. I can get on weird rants and I sound like a
No,
weird conspiracy theorist, but
I love those rants. I'm
mean,
all
you
here
gotta-
for it.
I mean, if you don't, and I mean, I constantly, not to break my arm, pat myself on the back, but when, my kids go places, they were always like, the parents would be like, your kids are so well behaved and they're so nice and polite. I'm like, why wouldn't they be? That's what they're supposed to do. Like, I never had to spank them. I never had to, all I really had to do is maybe raise my voice a little bit and maybe time out a few times. But because I treated them with respect and as humans and not like, okay, here's what you have to do because I'm your dad, they've grown up to be, dude, they are probably two of the coolest humans you'd ever meet. And they're both, 180 degrees from each other. One's really creative in drawing and art and builds things and, learn the yo-yo at 3 years old. Learn the Rubik's Cube on his own at 7.
Wow.
He gets in that kind of space, right?
Is that the one that built his computer?
Yeah, and that's Brooks. He's 14. He's
Wow.
awesome. And then his brother Grant's awesome as well, but he's more of an athlete and he's a parkourist and he's always constantly on the move and he's probably one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet in your life. Still gives me a kiss goodbye. And he's 17. 14-year-old Brooks, he stopped that when he was like 8. And I was like, oh no. But they're both their own humans and they make their own choices and they make their own decisions. And we have chats just like this and we talk about hard things and we talk about, because if you don't, we talk about sex. They've each come to me and told me about sex and where they are in that position. And it's okay.
Yeah, that's so sweet though.
Yeah. So if you don't do that, you can't, I don't think you can get to the right spot. So yeah, I was doing good. Yeah. But they're good people. And I can't say I was always a good person, but when you get outside of that and you show them those things. We were on the Fred Rouse lynching tour in Fort Worth. That sounds super fun and exciting, doesn't it? It's not, but it's going to learn about things that were done by people that are terrible. And it's having that myopic thought process and being just shitty. And it happens today, every day, it's happened. I know it's so funny. This is how maybe I'm not a nice person. I take pictures of my kids with their girlfriends and I send them to my parents' digital frame just to be nice. Just because I'm like, here's what your grandsons are doing. I hope you fucking rot in hell. Pardon my language, but you know what I mean? Yeah, they can play with black girls. They can hang out with black kids. They can hang out with Hispanic girls. And it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And, and you need to, my son's excited to hang out with his buddy Cody this weekend because Cody's invited him to church. And he goes, Dad, I'm going to go to church. You think I'll be all right? I'm like, dude, you'll be fine. Church, you'll be fine. He goes, what do you think? And I go, well, I think it's great. I said, I want, if you want to learn about that and you want to have an experience with that, why would I tell you no? And he's like, well, I know we're not really religious. I go, yeah, but that's not for me to tell you what you want to do.
Right.
I said, I give you the buoys, man. I tell you kind of here's where to stay in between. You're going to come outside of the buoys at least once or twice. I hope it's not so bad that it messes your life up forever. I said, but you're going to make mistakes, but that's okay. You're supposed to. I said, just don't, life's about learning and trying to have experiences and stuff. And I said, I can't impose it on you. So you got to figure some stuff out on your own. And I think because of that, my sons will come to me and tell me when they have a challenge. They'll tell me when they're thinking about having sex for the first time. He came to me and I said, well, you want me to help you buy a condom? He's like, no, I got it. I said, okay. He goes, I just wanted you to know that here's where I'm at. And I'm like, I started crying. And my wife and I were talking about it. And she's like, that's awesome that they do that.
Beautiful.
And it's, I have their trust. And I could never have done that with my old man. Are you out of your mind? Holy, never. I don't even drink a beer in front of him now.
Wow.
I'm a different person.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to be whoever you are all the time.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, that's why when you started this, I love being a dad. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not ready to be a granddad yet. Not ready for that, but I am ready. I do pride myself on being a good father.
Yeah.
And I think really it's just talking to them like humans.
Yeah.
Treating them with respect.
Respect. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you have no idea what they know. They can teach you a few things. And it's especially things like you were talking about a minute ago. When kids play with each other, they don't look at color. They don't see religion. They don't see politics. They don't see that crap.
Yeah.
They say, oh, that's a nice person. I want to go play with them.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's usually, I mean, hate and racism and all that crap, that's a learned behavior. And it won't ever break if we don't do it early.
Yeah.
I mean, if we don't say it's okay to play with whoever you want to play with or talk with whoever you want to talk with, it won't ever stop.
Yeah. Wow. I am so blown away. And I feel like, I mean, if I liked you before, I liked you so much better now.
I mean, I just try to be real. I mean, I don't know. This is who I am. I mean,
because it's so hard. I mean, very rarely. I mean, people with that kind of mindset are not just walking around. Otherwise, it would be a different
They're not.
world,
No,
right?
they're not.
So I would say it's very rare to find, people such as yourself that are like this open-minded. Like if there was a religion that was called love, like that would be it, right?
I'm down with something like that.
Because that is like to me, I struggle a little bit with religion myself because, I came from Christian, no, not Christian, Catholic. See, I'm not even great with
It's okay.
with religions Catholic, but a lot of the things is even as a child, like a lot of the things I started noticing very quickly that the actions and the preaches were not matching. Like this would be preached, but these actions would be different. And I'm like, that would confuse me. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Nope. That happened to me too. And then when you question it, people look at you like you're from another planet.
Exactly.
And you're like,
Exactly.
but wait a second, this doesn't that doesn't equal 2. It's equaling 4. I don't understand why it's doing that.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. No, so as you're speaking, like you're literally kind of speaking my language, it's like, yeah, like these things kind of like like, oh, God is love. Okay, great. So if love is God, why, with certain different religions, why are you excluding this
Yep.
and this? And like, why do you think your group is superior to every other group? Like, I mean, I know nothing about religions.
Yep.
But it's just kind of like a question, right? It's kind of like a foundational question. Like if love, my version of love, it doesn't mean, hey, I'm better than this, or this is the group to be in. That is wrong. So that always kind of confused me, which I think that's the reason why I, stopped going
That's
very
100%.
early on.
It's 100% why I don't go. Because it's such you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, and if you can't see it, then you shouldn't be there in the first place.
Right.
And it's I was on
That's a good way to put it.
I was on Facebook the other day, and I go to a community in Colorado, and the young man was on there, and he said, "Hey, is there a way?" And in this little small town of 800 people, I think there's 12 churches. Okay, way too many. And I said, and he put on the thing, he's like, "Hey, is there anybody like a group of free thinkers, maybe atheists, maybe non-believers, just people that want to question things and be about science? And I'm looking for a community." That's all he said. He wasn't saying, "Hey, don't go to church or do anything." That's all he said. And the amount of hateful things that were said after that, like you need God and you're going to hell and all this other crap. And I simply got on and I said, he's not saying what you're doing is bad or wrong. He's just looking for other people that are like him.
Right.
Give him a chance. And another lady said, you know, this is so great. I thought I was alone. Thought I was over here by myself. And and all the people that are saying the hateful things are all the ones that go to church. And I'm like, either you go and you don't pay attention, or you're a moron, because what you're thinking you're practicing, you're saying the most hateful stuff ever.
Yeah.
And usually it's those that are the most racist, the most homophobic, the most, whatever, put in whatever anti whatever.
Right. Fill in the blank.
Or the ones that aren't paying attention, that have either that void within themselves, right? Or that feeling or that behavior or that whatever it is, and they're scared to death of it. And instead of going, hey, how and who can I hang out with or can help me with this? They go, oh, I got to be hateful because they're different than me or whatever it is.
Right.
And it just isn't it's not the right way to go about it. I've always been this way. That's why I have, different opportunities and relationships and stuff. And I love it when I introduce my wife and no one's met her yet, because her name is Jaya, Jaya. And some of the things that, I had an experience with a person in our office, and that person was saying, and I go, you don't even know me, number one. And number two, the things that you're saying are really embarrassing for yourself. You shouldn't say those things. So you have no idea who I am. You have no idea who I'm associated with, who I'm married to. And the things that are coming out of your mouth are terrible. And you're trying to be a realtor and try to do these things. So you might want to and I was shaking. Oof. I called or texted my wife. I'm like, you'll never believe it. And I said something, and she goes, I figured you would. Figured you would. I'm that guy, right? And I was like, why? You can't do that.
Yeah.
And not in front of me either. And
Right.
that's the kind of thing. And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of got on a tangent there, but anyway.
No, it's called the powwow because we can talk about anything and everything.
Yeah.
There's no scripts, and I love it.
This has been awesome. I didn't expect anything, and it's been outstanding.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I love the fact that you told me nothing. I'm like, no, you'll see. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this is all about. I think it's more authentic. I think it's more
real.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. See where it goes.
Yeah, see where it goes.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I will say, like, out of, I don't know how many episodes we've had, I don't know, maybe like close to 40 or so, maybe a year and almost a half now of doing it.
That's awesome.
And I don't think I've cried many times, but it's usually like something, some like sad stories. I don't think I've ever cried because of something beautiful that was coming in my ears.
Well, I don't get to hear that very often.
Like, I don't think I've ever cried.
You're gonna make me cry.
For, like, seriously, ever.
Yeah.
And I don't even think in my life I've cried for, well, maybe like my wedding and things like that, but just out of conversations. Yep. Never cried for hearing something so beautiful. So I'm sorry if I made you cry.
No, dude, I'm surprised I didn't cry. I have cried already now, but
but before that, yes. I think it's a great kind of stopping point. Not because of our conversations, but because I have to also get going to get my surgery done. Otherwise, this could easily be a like 4 hour plus.
I had no idea. I was like, I looked at your watch. I was like, holy crap, we've been talking for 2 hours. All right. I've really had a great time.
Good.
Extremely, way more. This is like therapy. This is way better. So thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to come and chat with you, to get to know you a little better. You've kind of seen a little bit behind the curtain.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Like I said, I have seen a little bit behind the curtain, and because of that, I admire you more. I respect you more. Not that I didn't before, but just a different high level. Like, I can feel it, I'm so inspired by the way you by your ability to handle things as a father, by being vulnerable and, saying, yes, I need help, and I have tried to, get that. It doesn't matter how long it took you or whatever. The point is that, you've put yourself and you've accepted it, and that, we can be better and grow and all that. I just love it. Like
Thank you.
there's it's hard to put in words how I feel about that. So thank you for accepting right away. Thanks for being so flexible with
This is awesome.
with
Still
being
highlighted,
here.
like my year so far. This is awesome.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I
no,
appreciate
it's
that.
100%. Meeting you and meeting Logan and your dog family. Your fur
Yes.
babies. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every episode I end it with 2 final questions.
Sure.
And the first one is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh man, that's best piece of advice. It's I would quote my mom, use my inside voice. Advice really is just to be open-minded. Try not to rush into things. Take a look at things and be less quick to action, and be a little bit more, think about it before you open your mouth, mainly. I mean, I was always quick to spout off, and it would often write checks bigger than my butt could cash. I mean, I've got scars and broken fingers and all kinds of things from thinking I was bigger and badder and better. And you're not. We're all the same.
So think about you act.
Think before you act.
I love that.
Yep.
And the second question is, what is your personal definition of happiness?
That's even great. Wow, that's awesome. I struggle with that still. I think you have to make your own happiness. Someone else doesn't make you happy. They can help in your happiness, but they don't define or make your happiness. So I think figuring out what you're good at, whether that's being a father, whether it's being a husband, a spouse, a realtor, whatever it is, and putting forth your effort to do it the best you can. My happy place is at home with my boys and my wife, and just kind of hanging out. That's I think struggling with happiness is still, I don't know if I've found it 100% yet, but I've done a lot of work on it, and I'm happier today than I ever have been. I can't say that's always been the case. So I think I think happiness truly is an evolution. Like, it's never attainable, like to what people say, you know what I mean? There's always better things that can happen, better experiences. I'm all about the experiences in life. Like with our family, we live in a smaller house because we could have lived in a bigger house, but we use all that extra to go travel. And we want to live experiences, and we want to go to different areas and show our kids other places and cultures and things. I think that's where the happiness really is.
I see.
Is not in the tactile, the material stuff.
Right.
I mean, you got to have things that you want that are fun, right? But at the end of the day, it's about the experiences and who you get to share that with. And so the happiness that I get is really when I'm doing things with my friends, my family, my kids. That's where I'm the happiest.
Beautiful.
So I think that's really kind of where it is.
Yeah, the evolution.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's hard to kind of like to reach that destination. Oh, I'm happy. Well, I think it's always evolving. It's always changing.
Yeah.
I mean, what would 20 years ago, what would have made me happy, versus today,
Right.
So
Makes sense.
Yeah.
No, makes sense. And how for the listeners that may watch, how can they find you on social media?
Oh, thank you. Weston the Veteran is always good. WestonTheVeteran.com. You can find me on Google. It's Weston. Yeah, Weston the Veteran there is always good. You can give me a shout. I don't know, email is always good. Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Used to be on Twitter, not on X anymore. But yeah, just reach out to me. If you're a hero in the area and need some help, I'm always happy. If you're not in the area, I'm always available to refer someone in your neck of the woods as well.
There you go. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, dude, that was awesome. That was rad.
Wow. That's awesome.
Well,